Okay, there we go. Can you hear me now? Is that better? Hello, Lyrics Blue. Can you both hear me? This is my first time doing anything like this, so you might have to bear with me. You can't hear anything. Oh no. Um, so can you hear me now? Is this working? No. Hello, Jess. Can you anyone of you hear me at the moment? Um, oh, you can hear me. Okay, fab. Okay, yeah, so what I was trying to say is, as you can probably tell, this is my first time doing any of this kind of streaming stuff, so you might have to bear with me this session. I'm still trying to figure out how to get the camera working through the actual app. So at the moment, this camera is from another site, so you might just have to bear with me. But how are you all doing? So this is all based on like GCSE maths. I'm hoping that you're all here for that kind of level. We're going to be doing some percentages today and just looking at over some different styles of questions really. Okay, great. So, good. I'm glad you're all good. Yeah, if you have any questions, oh, I'm very good, thank you. I'm a bit like unsure about how all this works, but I'm quite excited to sort of try and help you. I hope you can all interact a little bit because it's really the benefit of being able to directly like talk to the person teaching you, I guess. So yeah, how do you all feel about percentages as a topic in your GCSEs? Or if you're not doing GCSEs, coming up to them maybe? Okay, so I've been tutoring for quite a while, so I teach quite a few different students, and what I tend to find is most people feel like they're quite happy with percentages until they come to questions where it's worded a bit funny. Oh, how many of these live sessions will there be? There'll be 10 of them in total from me, but there'll be some other subjects being taught on other days. So yeah, so 6 out of 10 is what I'm hearing about percentages from one person, which is quite solid to be honest. So not 100% on it. I don't know if that was like an intentional pun, but that's good to know. So you've got a 60% and 100% on percentages. So yeah, so what I tend to find is that people tend to know really what they're doing. So I'm going to just go straight in to, so where do I do it? I think, so if I make this camera a bit smaller on here, we should be able to write on this page. So let me just try and make this a bit smaller. I don't know if you can still see me. I tried doing, there you go. So you can still see me a little bit. And yeah, so what we're going to be doing, so first of all, we have these questions here, and I've of course made them a bit funny sized. Okay, so yeah, in the chat, if you like have a little go at doing the first question and just type out, if you need to go get a calculator, go grab one. You could always use the one on your phone if not, or your laptop. But yeah, does anyone like know what 34% of 167 is? or how you might do it. And I'm just going to give you a couple minutes to have a think about this. Have a little look at the other one as well if you do that one quickly. We're going to be using a calculator today. This isn't going to be about mental maths. This is just going to be about learning about percentages and figuring out what to do given a style of question. So trying to work out if it's a normal percentage question, reverse percentage question. So we do have an answer here of 56.78% for the first one, and the 134% being 223.78. So you're both completely correct. And we've actually got a bunch of other people also giving the same answers, which is great. So this is good. So I'm glad that a lot of you are on the page of knowing how to find a percentage of a number. I'm really quickly going to just sort of show you, for anyone who wasn't sure, how you would end up doing this. So what we would do, we take the percentage, we take that number, so 34 in this case, we divide it by 100, and then we multiply it by the number we're getting the percentage of. So if you put this in your calculator, just like everyone's been saying, you get 56.78 for this one. And then for the one down here, I just realized I move the page every time I do that. I try and avoid doing that. So this one over here, 134 over 100 times 167 this time. And this one would give you 223.78. So it seems like, is this higher? We're going to do a bit of a mixture of both. So I'd say this applies for both foundation and higher today. And as we go through the topics, everything is in both papers, but a bit later on in some later sessions, we might cover a question in a higher section. But yeah, it should apply to you regardless of what tier you're going for. But yeah, so a lot of people have got the right answer here. And this is good. So I'm happy with this. So what we're going to do now is have a think about how to do this in exam questions. And this is the way I like to teach my students how to do it. So I would always write it out as a sentence first of all. And for the ones we just did, this might not be necessary. You all are quite happy doing that. But it's useful to write this sentence out when you have wordier questions where you have to figure out what you want to do. So whether you're doing a normal percentage question, reverse percentage question. So this is how I would do it. And then I'd replace your percentage with the number divided by 100. The word of, replace that with multiplication, and the word is with an equal sign. So that's what we're going to be like. The style that I'm going to be teaching it today is not the same style. This is the rest of the slide. It's not always the style that every teacher teaches, but I think it works well for trying to decipher those awkwardly worded questions. So can you always divide by 100? So you can do it this way so long as your numbers are in this order. And this is why the sentence can be really useful. So a percentage of any number is always that percentage over 100. Because 100 just means per 100. That percent is 100, and per in maths is just a division. So a percentage as a number is actually itself divided by 100. And yeah, you can always multiply it by the one you're finding the percentage of. And it's good to think of this word of what I'm finding it of, as we'll see a bit later, because sometimes we're actually given this answer over here rather than the number we're finding the percentage of. So this is a good way of learning it, really. Yep, this is on the foundation level of Edexcel. It's on the foundation level of all of the syllabuses. So yeah, it's really one of the core topics. Okay, so this is the way I like to think of it. And we're just going to have to look at two questions. And these are the types of questions we see. Oops, sorry about that. So either we're trying to work out what the new value is, so after we've applied the percentage, what the original value was, and we'll see that these are more our reverse percentage questions, or we're working out the percentage itself. So let's have a look at like the first question I have here. And let's try and zoom out of it a bit. Okay. So here we have, oh, let me make my face a bit smaller too for you all, so you don't have to, yeah, let's make my face a bit smaller so you can see the question. I think that's more important. I'll bring my face back in a bit as well so you can actually see who's talking to you. But here we have a laptop is reduced by 22.5% in a sale, and the laptop usually costs £464.99. So how much does the laptop cost in the sale? So this is one of those questions where I think it's really useful to think of it in terms of a sentence, to figure out if we can just multiply it by the percentage or not. So in this case, we have a little text box here. Okay, so if we have reduced the laptop by 22.5%, what percentage is left if we've reduced it? So we've decreased the percentage by 22.5%. And you can use your calculators. We start with 100%. If we reduce it, what percentage are we left with? And yeah, anyone can type it in chat. And if you're not sure, you can just say you're not sure. That's completely fine to not know. %77.5%. Yeah, I'm seeing lots of them. Good. Okay, good. So this is actually, when you're doing exam questions, something that a lot of people dive in, see the percentage, and immediately divide that by 100 and multiply it by the number. But really, this is where that sentence comes in handy, to make sure what you're doing makes sense. Because after the sale, we haven't got 22.5% left. As you were saying, we have 77.5% left. So what we can say in here is 77.5% of the normal price, so of our £464.99 is, and we haven't actually been told what the answer is, that's what we're working out. So we're trying to work out what that is. So we're going to call that X. And that's what my first step would be here. So now we can turn this into an equation. So, I mean, you can always do it on your calculator and type in the answer here as well if you'd like. I'm going to write out the way that I would do this, but it's good practice. So yeah, all of you have a go at it. But I'm going to take the percentage now that it's in this form. So I can do my 77.5, divide it by 100, turn the of into a times sign, put my number in, so 469.99, turn the is into an equals sign, and then say that equals X. Could you do 22.5% minus the 46499? So the percentage, we can only really take that away from the 100%, because we're saying we're starting, the original price is 100% in a percentage terms. And percentages, just like in algebra, when the x's goes with the x's and the numbers go with the numbers, is the same here. We can only really combine the percentages when they have that percent sign. We divide it by 100 to turn it into a decimal that we can use with the normal numbers. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of 364.24s, which sounds good to me. So I'll let everyone else have a quick go, make sure you're happy with this. So we want to do 77.5 over 100, and then we want to times that by 4. Oh, I've also realised I've just typed out 69 over here. Let's change the question because all of you have worked out correctly with the 9, so that should have been a 9 up here, I guess. But yeah, you're completely right. So this one here is one of the easier ones, so long as you're happy with recognizing what that this is what you've got to do, really. So yeah, 364.24 is our answer. So 364.24. Perfect. So now I'm going to turn over to a question. Why did I choose that? I just randomly chose that number, to be honest with you. And I just wrote the wrong one down here. But I use that number for the next one. So the reason I want you to think about this is this question here is very similar. So I'm going to just zoom out of it a little bit so you can see. I think I saw all the 9s, Anna, and then I just read it as a 9. Which is my fault, really. Don't do that in exams. It's the reason why you're always told read a question 3 times at least before answering it. So here we have a very similarly worded question here, though. We have actually the same numbers as the one before. What's the difference here? Anyone type in what the difference between this question and the last question is? So you've got a laptop is reduced by 22.5% in a sale. The sale price is £464.99. How much does the laptop cost when there is no sale? So I'll go back so you can all have a look. If we go back a page, before it was saying the laptop usually costs £400 and we changed it to £69.99 and we were asked how much it costs in the sale. So yeah, any ideas? So it's asking for the price when there's no sale. Yeah, this is really the difference, and this is what can make these questions confusing for some people. Because, not for some people, for me too, to be honest. It takes a little while to really read the question and decipher it first. So we think of it in terms of the sentence I was saying to write it out. In this case, the original price will always be 100% because it's 22.5% off of the original. So for our sentence over here, so I'm seeing, so this is actually the part that's confusing, right? Because we're not finding this percentage of the sale price. This 22.5% is of the original price without the sale. So our sentence, so the way that I like to think of it, is here we can say 22.5% of X, so the one we're working out this time, is 464.99, and I use the proper number this time. And that's our sentence. And if we now turn this into our equation, so we do our, and this was 77.5% as well, because we still take it away from 100, because that's how much is left. But yeah, so this time if we want to turn this into an equation, this is going to be 77.5 over 100 still. So turning that into a percentages, turn the of into a times sign, but now the X is going to be here. And the answer is actually the number we know. So 464, make sure I write that out correctly, 0.99. So it changes a bit, right? If we want to change this number over here into a decimal, how much marks would this be in an exam? I'd say 2 to 3 marks. It depends really on the bits that have come before and how it's worded. So so we've got, if I turn this into a decimal to start with, because I don't like working with fractions, and this is really where you're rearranging equations topics, which we're not really going into too much today, because we don't really have enough time to, but if you can be comfortable with the rearranging equations topic, you'll be so much more confident with the rest of maths. So this is our equation. 0.99. And if we just want to find x over here, oh, the 77.5%. So we get that from looking at the question and we see it's reduced by 22.5%. So we take this percentage over here, the 22.5%, and take it away from 100, because what the 77.5 is what we have left. So we could include that in our working up here. So we could first say 100 minus the 22.5% tells us what we actually have. And whether you're taking that percentage away or adding it depends on if it's a percentage decrease or increase. But yeah, so, and then if we want to rearrange this, I will just go down the page a little bit if I can. So maybe I can't. Sorry, this is like all very new to me, so I'm really not the best with this, but maybe I'll rub it out and make it a bit smaller. Oh no, it's all frozen. Okay, there we go, I can move down. Okay, so if we do this and we want to rearrange it to find x, we will do our 464.99 over 0.775. So I see we have an answer in here already. Does everyone else just want to have a really quick go, put it in your calculator, make sure you're happy with the answer. And I'm going to double check as well. So it should be 464.99 over 0.775. Yeah, so this is, Misam, you're not alone. I think that's the most confusing part about these questions. I'll let everyone just put this in their calculator, work this out. And so your x should actually end up being, actually, I'll let everyone work it out. So the way this differs, Misam, from the question before, is that this time we were told what the value was after we'd taken a percentage off. Whereas originally we were finding the percentage of the number they gave us. So in this case, we actually had the answer to the question before and we were trying to work backwards to get the original price. Lily, you're completely correct, yeah. So yeah, it should be 599.9. I think it should be 99 though. It should round up when you put it on there. So this should be 599.99. And we can put a little pound sign there. But yeah, so does that answer your question, Misam, with how they're different? You can go back to have a look at the questions as well. Good, yeah, to two significant figures. Whenever you're working with money, try and do it to two significant figures because that's going to be to the nearest penny. When it's for every question, no, so we can really quickly go over this. So the way you know whether to round up or not, so the answer in your calculator, I believe it was, let's rub this out and I'll show you the steps to rounding it. So the answer in your calculator before, it should have ended in 987. 987 ... Is that correct, Lily? Is that what you had in your calculator? Misam, I'll come back to that in a second then, actually. With this rounding, though, for Lily, what you're looking at, if we know we want to go to two decimal places, so we're looking at these two, you look at the number next to it, so the next number across, and if that number is 5 or bigger, you round up. If it's less than 5, you round down. So we're kind of rounding it to what the nearest number either above or down is. Okay, so, but Misam, for this question, I'm just really quickly going to go back to the wording, because I do think this is the one thing that really confuses a lot of people for these questions, and it's the only place that people tend to go wrong. So in this question up here, what we're really looking at to know that this is what we have to do is see that the number they give us is the sale price. Whereas in the question before, the number they gave us was the original price. So in this question over here, the sale price is 77.5% of the original price. So if you think of a sale, what we do is we take the prices that we usually have, so the normal prices, retail prices, and we take a percentage off the retail price. And this here would be the retail price. And the sale price, you would just do this, say the percentage of that retail. Whereas this question, the next one over here, they're telling us the sale price this time. But if you think of sales, we don't go from the sale price and find the percentage of that. Instead, we go the other way around. We still go from the original price to find that percentage to work out the sale price. So in this case, it's like we have the answer to the question we're usually asking, and we want to go backwards to the original price instead, or the retail price. And that's where this sentence is useful, because you're saying what is the percentage of? Because it matters what number that percentage is of. Is it of the number they give us, or is it of the number we're working out? And that's what you really want to ask yourself when putting these questions and your answers together. Does that answer your question, Misam, at all? Or help at all with getting it? I do think it is the most common error with these. And that's also why I think it's useful to learn these two together rather than thinking of reverse percentages as something very different. So yeah, I just realised these are only supposed to be 30-minute slots, and you're actually already at 5:30. So if anyone has any questions, do let me know. But otherwise, we're doing some more maths next Monday, and I could see you then. I hope it was useful for you all. Yeah, Misam, yeah, exactly. It's more of an algebra question now, because I've turned it into this equation. And that's me using my sentence. And I like using the sentence because it helps decipher the question and figure out what type of question I have. There are more than one way to do this, so you can do it the way that makes most sense for you. But yeah, after this, it does become an algebra question because our x isn't on its own. So we're trying to make x the subject. Finn, yeah, I think it is done now. So it was just supposed to be like a really quick, snap revision on percentages. So this should cover your general percentages and reverse percentages. Did you all find it useful? Okay, so thank you all for coming. Oh, is there another way instead of algebra? Okay, let me do a fresh page and I'll show you this exact same question. So you just go down. So you could also learn it as if it's a reverse percentage. You could say to yourself how to do this. So we could say to ourselves that if it's reverse percentage, you take the number and just divide it by the percentage as a decimal. And you could go straight to this if you want. So reverse percentages, let's do that in here. This number up here is the sale price, and the number down the bottom is the percentage as a decimal. And you could learn it like this, and you just have to be careful for this method to be able to recognize when it's a reverse percentage in a standard percentage question. So yeah, thank you for joining us. I hope you all found it useful, and I hope you join us next Monday at 5 p.m. again. And yeah, have a lovely week.